I'm introducing you to this amazing area of Iran by showing you footage of a never-ending herd of sheep and goats that we've encountered in the beautiful village of Palangan. On the end of our first day in Iran, we took a night bus from the city of Tabriz to the city of Sanandaj, which is the capital of the province of Kurdistan. However, we didn't go to Sanandaj to explore the city itself, but rather to see the so-called staircase villages that you can find in the area. In the province of Kurdistan, there's a distinctive style of architecture where houses are built on top of each other and also against a mountain. So from a distance it literally looks like a staircase. And to my understanding, that style of architecture is very unique and not to be found much in the world. So I really needed to see that since I was very intrigued by that. Our biggest problem with this whole idea was that you can't really find valuable information on the internet on how to reach those places. So our plan was to go to the hotel staff and ask them to figure out what we can do. Now it basically comes down to 4 different options. Either you get a rental car, you join a tour, you get a private driver all the way, or you get local transport to the nearest small town and then get a taxi driver from there. Which is what we did, because we didn't really know how much money we're gonna have in the end, and that seemed to be the most economically pleasing one. So on the second day, we decided to go to the village of Uraman Takht, for which we had to take a bus to Marivan. And while I usually don't like to complain much about local transport in different countries, this local minibus was just constructed weirdly, and you basically had so little space for your legs that they would hurt instantly once you sat down. So it wasn't the most fun ride, but it was alright since at least we got to go to an amazing place in the end. Having arrived in Marivan, we immediately found a taxi driver to bring us to Uraman Takht, and we also convinced the Japanese tourists to join us so we could all save a bit on the taxi price. On the way to Uraman Takht, I tried to film the places we came across to give you a general gist of the architecture in the area, but it didn't really work out the way I wanted to, so I hope you still can get somewhat of an idea. Sadly, we don't have all that much footage from Uraman Takht, which is first of all because we didn't really have all that much time, and also because it was super hot. Which are also both the reasons why we didn't really go up all the way, even though we would have wanted to if the situation were different. And especially unique to this certain village is that there's a lot of green and blue coloring on the houses, on the windows and things like that. And I'm not sure how well you can see that in the footage provided, but it does look a lot better with your own eyes anyway, and I can recommend anybody going there, because even the atmosphere there is very interesting. And then after we've been there for an hour or 1.5, we already had to turn back because we didn't really know when the last bus from Marivan leaves back to Sanandaj, and we really had to be able to catch the last bus. So there was quite a time limit there, sadly. On that evening, back in Sanandaj, we did walk all the way from the bus station to our hotel, which took about 1.5 hours, but the only footage we have from that is me walking through these ring lights. On the next morning we made it our objective to first of all film our hotel room, whereas I didn't really say anything valuable yet again, so I'm just showing you a little bit of that clip without the actual audio on it. And then we also filmed the breakfast, because in Iran we were staying in 3-star hotels and 4-star hotels a lot, and therefore the breakfast was very fancy actually. And we kinda wanted to share that with people. And after we've done that, we got ready to again leave the hotel to go to the next staircase village, which would be Palangan for that day. To get there, we had to take a bus to Kamyaran, which was even worse than the first one because it was lower, so my head was kind of inside the roof, and whenever the bus jumped you would worry that your head just would go through the roof. So that wasn't really that comfortable, but again, at least we got to see a beautiful place in the end of that. Funny to me as well was that the taxi driver from Kamyaran to Palangan didn't exactly know how to even get to the village, so he first of all drove past it. And when we finally got there, we tried to explain to him that we need a ride back an hour later, but his English was too bad and he didn't really follow what we wanted, even with Google Translate. So we immediately know that we will have a problem later on getting back, because it's a very small place and it's not very touristy, so there's not really any taxi drivers going back. In the very end we managed to get back, but it was a mess as much as I remember that. For now there's gonna be a little break in talking so you can enjoy the rest of the footage from Palangan, because it's a really beautiful place and one of my favorites from this whole trip, and we tried to film it as much as we could. So when we tried to leave Palangan, the issue wasn't only that there isn't any public transportation, but also that it was during a time where everybody is either having lunch, is resting or working or anything like that. So even locals wouldn't want to drive us back to Kamyaran. And for a matter of fact, we wouldn't have minded to wait a few hours to get back. However, we yet again had a night bus going from Sanandaj on that evening, so we really needed to go back, and we didn't have that much of a time frame left to get back anymore, especially because we wanted to be a bit early just to be secure with everything. And after having a few fruitless conversations, we finally walked back up to the entry point of the village, where we eventually found somebody that brought us back to Kamyaran. I'm also yet again showing you a bit of driving footage because there's still a few landscapes that I wanted to show you, since at least to me it all seems very beautiful and I can't get enough of looking at this again and again. And then from Kamyaran we yet again got a taxi back to Sanandaj, where the taxi driver yet again tried to scam us a bit. And as said, that seems to happen quite a few times with taxi drivers in Iran, which I still believe has to do with them probably struggling with money, and I wouldn't necessarily say they're bad people, especially since taxi drivers might scam you in every country in the world, so that doesn't really mean anything. And our night bus on that evening went to the city of Ahvaz, which isn't really a beautiful place on its own, but it's very close to some remnants of very old civilization, so if you want to see that, then stay tuned for the next part. There's also this tiny bit of footage we filmed around the bus station, because we wanted to show you how messy it is. You have all these different booths with names of bus companies on it in Farsi, so sometimes you need to plan in quite a bit of time to actually figure out where you have to go, and that was still quite a small bus station, so there are some with about 30 different bus companies and you have to find which one is yours. So one of the coolest things about these kind of VIP buses, or how they're called, that we're taking every day, is you get these kind of snack packs when the bus is leaving, or today like a bit before that. And for example, there's mango juice in there's some strawberry cake-ish thing, and also there's like a cupcake or muffin that looks like a burger because of sesame seeds, but it's definitely not a burger. It's a really cool thing, and it kind of feels like first class in an airplane. Just like everything in here, to be quite honest, but it's a really cool thing. Like, I really like it. It just has too much trash. Like, you could do that more economically, but I'm not gonna complain about the food.